We won't. I mean, in 2008, we transferred with ease, and 2024 we will do the same. And I think one, they put out their hesitation about some of the things that we felt that we could do for Ghana's sake, and we don't intend to ruffle feathers anymore. So I think the most in local parlance, you know, we are limiting frictions, we are reducing bones of contention, so that we have a very agreeable end of our eighth parliament with timelines that bear in mind the fact that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has to hand over power to John Dramani Mahama, and the fact that the ninth parliament needs to be sworn in before they swear in, the president, or shall I say, their at the time Speaker of Parliament for the ninth. So these are the nuances and the reason why Dr. Amin Anta was not in the chamber today. He's doing Ghana's business. He's doing Ghana's bidding to ensure that the NDC gets a very soft landing and a safe landing after January 7th, when there's a new direction for this
But
country.
don't you also believe that these delays could also impact decisions in the upcoming parliamentary session? Don't you believe that?
The budget that we're working on.
I mean, in terms of, yes, absolutely, and the
Well,
minister
I
also
mean,
appearing
what we're
to
doing
Parliament.
has impact. Like I said, we were of the opinion that we may have won, and by so, the budgetary arrangements were more in line with the policy direction or the manifesto of the MPP. Now that Ghanaians have not extended our mandate, the appropriate thing to do, the right thing to do by the people, is to then drop those things, appropriately, so that we leave it bare and leave it just as is right for the new administration to then work hard on their next budget, which is the 2025 budget, and that will be presented within the first 4 months of next year. So I mean, it will be without things that we were ready to hit the ground running, and that is admitted, because there's no way we can be the author and finisher of the NDC directive for next year. I mean, it will be wrong for finance minister to assume the role of the MDC's finance directive. So I think that there's much to do about nothing. The fact that we are going to relay a budget that is reflective of what the people want, and reflective of a change in policy direction. So this is a very no-brainer, and I think we're in agreement with regards to the things that we need to work on, which is largely payment of salary, and then other emoluments and things of that nature. So I mean, Ghanaians should be very confident. We will not leave them hanging. Not at all. It's impossible. It won't happen that way.
Now, Doc, finally, before I let you go, there are some that say that there are some specific challenges, development within the Ministry of Finance that is contributing to this delay. How do you respond to all of this?
Well, I mean, the only almost obvious challenge is the fact that the desire of finance ministry for next year has to change, and the numbers that were plan for next year also has to change. And then also revenue mobilization. I mean, if they did it with projections of still maintaining e-levy, if they did it with projections of still maintaining a lot of these taxes that the incoming administration says they're going to scrap, then once the revenue handles or the revenue mobilization opportunities are going to be reduced, I can cite COVID levy, for instance, then we need to be cognizant of the fact that you can't eat your cake and have it. And by virtue of that, we cannot leave the NDC with, any programs that we had intentions of doing. Is unfathomable. And we also can be very clear to Ghanaians that as it stands, we are unsure with regards to the Agenda 111s and what the NDC will do, whether they will continue right away or stall it. I mean, these are the reasons why the budgetary directions for next year, the first quarter, will be different from what we had envisioned, and this should be very clear in all of us our minds.
Finally, I mean, when are we expected to see the finance minister grace the parliament for the last budget?
Well, we are apparently working till Saturday. That's the proposal that we had, and then we will break and come back on the 28th to work for a few days before we bring to a closure the 8th Parliament. So, I mean, he cannot lay a paper and recall it this time. So he needs to cross his I's and T's and make sure that whatever he drops with the Speaker would be the final and with no needed amendments. So allow him to do it right and not in haste, but to do it right. And I think that Ghanaians will be happy with. I was overly joyed when I saw his first budget when he was called as finance minister, and I know that his closing chapter will also be fantastic and will be agreeable to Benny in terms of it bringing stabilization of our city, our currency, and ensuring that the interest rate and exchange rates are within agreeable figures. As it stands now, I think the dollar is about 1 to 15 or 14 in some arenas, and we want to maintain that. And he's promised that he will live in the economy far better than he himself, inherited. And I'm not saying that he inherited from the NDC, but he inherited from another finance minister. So based on where we were, 12 months ago, he's ensuring that what he's leaving in the custody of the NDC is acceptable. We won't leave an empty coffer for them. They'll have something, to just say the least, enough to get by till they bring their budget.
Doc, thank you so much for your time this evening. We have been
You're
speaking
welcome.
to Dr. Dickson Adumaku-Kissi. He's the NP for Anya Sotium. But let's do more news. And now the post-election activities. The running mate for Dr. Bawumia in the 2024 election, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, has stated that the New Patriotic Party will regroup and analyze the cause of their defeat in the election. According to him, the party has already started to analyze what occasioned for its unprecedented defeat in the election. He, however, noted that he will also keep a close eye on how the incoming government intends to address the economic challenges of the country.
Since the NDC majority.
The dollar for 5 cents. Yet, I saw the king Quebec once. So, about him was when you're near 10 years.
Away from that, let's move straight to Ablekuma North, where the Ghana Police Service, in collaboration with the Ghana Kwashiman cluster of schools. The facility is notable for housing the Ablekuma North constituency ballot boxes. Now, in a statement, the police assured the public that anyone found responsible for the fire will be arrested and prosecuted, and they urged citizens to remain calm as investigations continue into the case in the course of the fire. The incidents come amid ongoing tensions following post-election disturbances, and according to the police, 132 suspects have been arrested nationwide in connection with these disturbances. Now, of these, 45 have been remanded in custody, where 71 are on police inquiry bail and 16 are also on bailout, while legal proceedings continue. Authorities have reiterated their commitment to maintaining peace and stability and urge the public to cooperate fully as investigation progresses. Meanwhile, students of the Kwashiman cluster of schools have called on the government to rebuild the bent facility in the school to avert further disruption of academic work. The students bemoan that they cannot attend classes and undertake academic work following the distraction of some of the classrooms and laboratories. My colleague Derek Kumikisiudu was there and has filed this report.
The Kwashiman cluster of schools in the Ablekuma North constituency, which includes Anglican A and B Basic School and Kwashiman 1 Basic School, has been closed down following a post-election induced fire outbreak which destroyed several facilities in the school. The blaze caused intensive damage to classrooms, the school library and the ICT laboratory. The school serves as a depot for the ballot boxes for the Ablekuma North constituency, where parliamentary results still remains contentious. The outbreak is alleged to have been perpetrated by some supporters of the NDC who disagree with the EC's quest to recollate the results in the constituency. Some students from the Kwashiman cluster who have had to suffer the brunt of this illegality have expressed concern about how the school's closure will affect the education. They urge the government to provide urgent assistance for renovations.
He told us that no one should enter this building, we should all go down there and we should go and write our exams. So when we went, and the other schools were going home because their headmaster said all of them should go home, and also our primary also went home.
School we fire service for about the good. But I say, if you move every Jimmy one, tell me, Ballon Coopers, not kind. If you move Jimmy one, and Tinema, Anome, Basana, I say, yeah, you're funky about it, BC. About your BC, seeing to me, and see, I don't know, could not feel 1 year, you're born, Ebony are born. It's a say. About for the bad no moment CSC dynamite.
A resident also shared with ABC News Ghana what she witnessed in the early hours following the fire outbreak.
I love those one why be that social. On no pay ya meet is na me be tuma. We do one go for the one I see school down na me see whatever ballot paper one. Minim da. Ti me work ni say. Yen so na nya bibia na
Meanwhile, the Ghana Police Service says it has commenced investigations into the fire outbreak.
Let's still stay on this issue, and Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, Deputy Director of Elections and IT for the NDC, has accused the Electoral Commission of overstepping legal boundaries following its plans to recollate results after declaration. He described the move as unlawful under CI 127 and criticized the EC's failure to engage IPOC, blaming the lumps for growing tensions. He called on party sympathizers to exercise patience and allow the law to take its full course.
That led to all these kind of problems that we are having at hand. It's unfortunate because, look, there is no law under the CI 127 which says that you can do recollation after collation and then declaration of results. There's nothing like that in the law. So if the EC is introducing something which is not within the legal framework of the conduct of the election, of course, you'll be expecting all these kind of problems. Abdulrahman was declared for the NDC officially by the returning officer. He has the power. He did the declaration all right and gave us our summary sheets and collation form, which is the Form 1C and the Form 1D. We have them. And so why would the EC be asking for another collation again? To do what? To do another declaration? Well, that's why we want peace by going to court. We have injuncted the process of recollating any of the constituencies that we want. We've injuncted it. We've served them. And so we call our members to restrain themselves and then just allow us to follow the due process to make sure that our seats won are not disturbed. Nobody can use any crooked means to take the seats away from us. We are not going.
Well, the fire outbreak at Kwashiman, which housed ballot boxes for Ablekuma North, has further fueled concerns. But Dr. Rashid Tanko has urged patience to investigations proceeding. Police reports about 132 arrests linked to post-election disturbances as authorities work to maintain calm and stability.
Well, I will not go for that conclusion because the investigation has not come out with such. Let's wait for the police and the fire service to do thorough investigation and come out with a report. But for now, we cannot conjecture and say that this is that or that. Look, a lot of fire issues have happened before even this one. So, do you say those ones who are politically motivated? But you know, we are in a state where, in fact, suspicion is so high. And all these suspicion, needless suspicion, caused by the Electoral Commission.
Well, let's to maintain focus on political tensions and chaos. And political scientist at the University of Cape Coast, Jonathan Asante-Okyere, has attributed the fire incident of Kwashiman cluster of schools and other election-related violence to the late declaration of election results by the Electoral Commission. In an interview on ABC News, Mr. Okyere emphasized the delays in announcing results create a fertile ground for misinformation, distrust, and mobilization of aggrieved supporters. He argued that he urged the Electoral Commission to also adopt more efficient processes, including advanced technologies, to be speed up to the collusion and announcement of results.
I am of the view that I am tempted to believe that, you see, the late declarations have occasioned all these destructive elements that we find in the electoral space. And that only happened because some people wanted to alter the process of declaration and then decide as to where it should go. You couldn't easily have done that with the presidential because it is just one election. With the MPship, there are different elections, and then the maneuverings and the tactics are different. And so that is why we find ourselves where we find ourselves. And so
meanwhile, political scientist at the University of Cape Coast, Jonathan Asante-Okyere, has urged the Electoral Commission to initiate comprehensive reforms to enhance safety and efficiency in the electoral operations. His comment follows a fire outbreak that occurred in the early hours of Tuesday, December 17, 2024 at Kwashiman cluster of schools. The facility, notable for housing the Ablekuma North constituency ballot boxes, is considered to have been set ablaze by unknown perpetrators as tensions continue to build up. This comes after the suspension of collation of parliamentary results by the EC due to security concerns. Speaking to us in an interview with ABC News, Dr. Asante-Okyere expressed concerns over the incidents.
Electoral Commission, as of now, there is a need for a forensic audit to be done. And then going forward, we will have to find a way of carrying out, some kind of reforms. And the way and manner we choose those who serve in the interest of the state in their capacity as electoral officers. That, for me, is the best way to go. And in that particular investigation or thorough forensic audit that ought to be done, I think that we should not in any way preclude that of 2020 elections, and especially the presidential and the report that came out of that. And it's quite unfortunate that during the 2020 election petition, we did not have Madame Jean Mensa testifying for the whole nation to listen or to watch.
Again, we are still maintaining focus on the unfortunate incident at Kwashieman, and security analyst Adib Sani has called for a unified effort to address the persistent challenges in the country's electoral system. Speaking on the back of the fire outbreak at the Kwashieman cluster of schools in Accra, which has reportedly destroyed several ballot boxes, he noted that reoccurrences of such incidents reflects the gaps in the electoral system. Adib also called for the appeal to political parties to prioritize the nation's interests over partisan gains.
These enemies of the state are walking free. So we need to work collaboratively across all segments of life in the country to sanitize the political space. I think this election has exposed a lot about our politics, and I do hope that incoming President John Mahama will be able to work closely with CSOs, with academics, with even international organizations to enhance our democracy as we go into the future and also the subsequent elections that would come.
Still on matters of security, the President-elect John Dramani Mahama has pledged to prioritize the resolution of the ongoing conflict in Boko, a volatile area in the Upper East region of Ghana, as a key initiative of his administration focused on peace and security. Now, during a meeting with the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, Mr. Mahama highlighted the importance of establishing a sustainable and inclusive peace process to address the long-standing ethnic and chieftaincy disputes that have resulted in significant loss of lives, displacement, and economic disruption in the region. His comment came in the wake of years of periodic flare-up, including a notable escalation in the recent months, which has led to calls for both local leaders and international observers for more coordinated efforts to control the violence. Let's bring you some business update after this. And in business, Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam has expressed confidence in the state of Ghana's economy as the new Patriotic Party prepares to hand over power to the newly elected administration, John Dramani Mahama. Speaking at the press conference in Accra on Tuesday, December 17, Dr. Amin Adam described the economy as resilient and recovering strongly despite recent global and domestic challenges.
5 years. And this is a strong signal that GDP growth is gradually returning to pre-pandemic growth levels. Though the Ghana Statistical Service has not yet released the Q3 GDP data for the year, data from the Bank of Ghana shows GDP growth was still robust in the third quarter, with the Composite Index of Economic Activity CIEA recording a growth of 2.8% for Q3 of 2024. This is a strong rebound from the contraction of 2.4% observed during the same period in 2023. And so this gives us a sense that growth is going to do pretty well in Q3. We have outperformed the inflation target set under the program. Inflation has continued to decline from a peak of 54.1% in December 2022 to 22.1% in October 2024, influenced by reductions in both food and non-food inflation. We've also made significant progress in our fiscal consolidation efforts, thereby improving the primary balance on commitment basis by 4 percentage points from a deficit of 4.3% of GDP in 2022 to 0.3% in 2023. And we are on course to improving the primary balance further.
That's all for business, but let's still focus more on some local stories. And President-elect John Dramani Mahama has reaffirmed his commitment to addressing corruption and curbing public sector waste as central pillars of his administration's development agenda. Speaking in an interview with DWTV, Mr. Mahama outlined plans for sweeping reforms aimed at improving governance, enhancing accountability, and reducing inefficiencies that hinder national progress. He also acknowledged widespread public dissatisfaction with the mismanagement of state resources, inefficiencies in governance, and the country's escalating nation's debt. He described corruption and waste of significant barriers to the nation's development and pledged to intensify efforts to combat these challenges. According to Mr. Mahama, he will revisit Ghana's constitutional reviews and modernize the governance framework. He also noted that he will align the constitution with the nation.
That we improve on efficiency in governance, and one of the things we need to do is to carry through the constitutional review that stalled after this government came into place. There are many issues that we need to deal with in our constitutional governance and also in our governance activities. And so one of the first things we'll do would be to take the whole issue of constitutional review again and see how we can structure things so that we have a more dynamic constitution going forward. Aside from that, we need to take the fight against corruption and waste to a new level. And so how do we improve our governance system so that we're not having so much waste as a result of corruption and waste? And so that's something that we need to look at. How do we look at our economic management in the sense that our economic managers are able to manage it in such a way that we don't end up where we have found ourselves this time, for instance, in terms of debt management.
While still on the President-elect John Dramani Mahama, he has expressed deep sense of responsibility towards Ghana's youth following his victory in the December 7 general elections. Mr. Mahama acknowledged the enthusiasm and high expectations of young people during his campaign rallies, calling it as a humbling reminder of the work ahead of him to improve Ghana's future and secure a better life for all citizens. In an interview with the WTV on Monday, December 16, Mr. Mahama reflected on the optimism displayed by young Ghanaians, expressing how deeply moved he was by the enthusiasm.
I think that Ghana yet has reached that stage, but it is a worry, and if we don't do the things that will create opportunities for our young people, then we can't have, that kind of situation on our hands. Incidentally, Ghana is a bit different in terms of the presence of the states and the better spread of development across our country than some of our neighbors. In every district in Ghana, we have electricity. In every district in Ghana, we have a portable water system. In every district, we have a local government office, we have a secondary school, we have hospitals, we have telecommunications facilities. And so people are not feeling as alienated from the state as they will feel in some other countries. There are many countries where you go, and apart from the biggest city and the second biggest city, third biggest city, there's nothing anywhere else. And so Ghana is a bit more resilient, but we cannot take that for granted. Our major hurdle is youth unemployment. If we do not grow our economy as fast as we should to give the private sector the opportunity to create jobs, then we can end up with that kind of situation. And that is why it's a matter of urgency that we stabilize the economy as quickly as possible, open Ghana for business again, invite foreign direct investment, set up the factories, expand the farms, provide incentives to farmers, provide agro-processing support so that we're able to create more opportunity for young people. And so it's an emergency that every government should deal with. And my government is a government in a hurry. We want dedicated and loyal people to occupy the positions that will roll out our program.
Let's bring you some sports updates after this. And in sports, Chelsea winger Mihailo Mudryk faces possible lengthy ban after testing positive for a banned substance. Now, both the player and Chelsea have issued statements maintaining his innocence while investigations continue. Reports suggest that Mudryk's test detected Muldoon's a performance-enhancing drug ban since 2016. Mudryk broke his silence via Instagram, saying, and I quote, "I can confirm that I have been notified that a sample I provided to the FA contained a banned substance. This has come as a complete shock, as I have never knowingly used any banned substance or broken any rule. I am working closely with my team to investigate how this could have happened," unquote. Now, in a statement, Chelsea FC confirmed that Mudryk was contacted by the FA over the adverse findings in a routine urine test. And the club stated, and I quote again, "Both the club and Mihailo fully supports the FA's testing program, and all our players, including Mihailo, are regularly tested." We're back with some international updates. Do stay. Jackto Odhiambo, housemate of Kenyan LGBTQ+ activist Edwin Chiloba, has been sentenced to 50 years in prison for activist gruesome murder. The High Court in Eldoret found Edwin guilty of killing Chiloba in January 2023, a crime that sparked global outrage and renewed tension on LGBTQ rights in Kenya. But same-sex relationships are illegal. Justice Rubin also ruled that Inyabo had premeditated the act, attacking Chiloba after the return from a nightclub. Chiloba, a prominent voice activist of the LGBTQ+ discrimination, was found dead in a metal box with his body showing signs of a struggle. DNA evidence linked Odhiambo to the crime scene. Despite his genitals and denials, now witnesses also testified about hearing an argument between the two housemates and seeing Odhiambo move to box containing Chiloba's remains. The court, however, did not establish a motive for the murder. Let's wrap up with some entertainment updates. And entertainment gospel musician Diana Asamoah has cautioned colleague Empress Gifty against using any astroturf by the NPP as a venue for her mother's funeral. In a viral video circulating on December 17, 2024, Diana Asamoah revealed that during a visit to Empress Gifty, she learned of plans to hold the funeral at the NPP constructed astroturf, similar to where Dr. Amoah recently hosted her mother's funeral. According to Diana, she advised Gifty to reconsider because she did not vote for the NPP. On December 14, 2024, Empress unfortunately announced the passing of her mother, affectionately known as Agaga, after a brief illness.
And Sunday, nam tinano me kwasra Gifty adoye. And Sunday, nam kachira ne se, mami Gifty, o mami ye o baye ne he. And was a baby Dr. Aban, a ye ne ye, astroturf no so. And obey so nam so yen so. Astroturf no yen so. Kwama fa fantom ema astroturf. Ne kwaye no so. One to a man PP, nti kope wasase a obeye dan obeye wo so what you see mama no last warning oni ni kuna do yenyina se asto tefono yo mo to ma ba no ma no nko no omnya anima no.
Well, Dinah Sama over there. Most people say that this is just for some entertainment, but I don't know. Interesting, but very unfortunate on the part of Gifty Adoye. We express our condolences to her. But that does it for this evening. On the evening package, I am Eric Chuniboamelo. But before we take leave of you, let's do a recap of our top stories. And Speaker has expressed disappointment as he adjourns Parliament over the failure of Finance Minister to show up and deliver mini budget for the 2025. Also, student of Bent Kwashiman cluster of schools appeal for government for support as police commences investigation into the incident. Business, while Finance Minister Amin Adams says the NPP government is handing over a strong economy to the incoming administration. The International Front housemate of Kenyan LGBTQ activist Edwin Chiloba has been sentenced to 50 years in prison after the activist's gruesome murder. Once again, that's all for the package this evening. I am Eric Chuniboamelo. On behalf of the entire production team, we say thanks for watching. Do you want to log on to ABC News GH for more content and news updates? Have a good evening.